if you want to cry during the holidays, pick that one up. Filled with snow and frostbite and scurvy and all sorts of delicious stuff. Hello and welcome back to the 12 Days of Creepmas. I was thinking today that maybe I would go through my books and kind of have a comprehensive list of books that I think are worth reading in December. Some of them are, I'm sure, will be Christmas related books, but then others will just be like snowy. So I thought that might be kind of interesting. I know that I've done videos on all of these in the past, but instead of being like, hey, go back and find that video from 3 years ago, I thought this might be helpful for some people. Maybe. I don't know. Let me know. But I thought we would go through my books together and yeah, let's begin. You know what we should do first is turn on these lights. Where's my... Still orange from Halloween. Should we do red or should we do green? Red, green, red, green, red, green. We'll start with red. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty sure I found my favorite winter reads. I might be missing one or two here or there, you know, but I did the best I could just going through my books really quick. So, ooh, I'm out of breath. That's pretty pathetic. But these are a lot of books that I think are definitely worth the read during winter or Christmas. And let's just go through them. The first one, probably not a surprise to anybody, The Shining by Stephen King. Such a perfect winter read. Everybody knows what this story is about. I don't think I have to go into too much detail, but it's just the perfect winter read. It's such an interesting mix, kind of like the movie is, of this like claustrophobic being stuck inside, not being able to leave, mixed with this giant hotel where it's, you know, has all the rooms and the room in the world. And, you know, you get to see Jack Torrance slowly losing his mind. If you're a fan of the movie, or if you're just a person who's never read this book, I honestly could not recommend it enough. But I would say go into it not even really comparing it to the movie. They are two very different pieces of art, and I think both can be appreciated in different ways. But highly recommend this one. It's just so different from the movie, and I think it also in some ways enhances the view of the movie, because there are some things in there that I feel like you get a little bit more context on if you read the book. And then also there's so much that is so different that I think it's worth reading for that as well, to just, you know, understand it and get to know the characters that are very different from the characters in the movie. The next one, probably not a surprise to anyone, it's Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. This is the novella that the movie The Thing is based on. Don't worry, I'll do a whole movie verse book on this either later on in December or in early November. This is one of my favorite books. It's so awesome to see where the movie The Thing began, and it is very similar to The Thing, but there are some differences as well, particularly with the ending, that definitely surprised me and yeah, gave me kind of just a new look at The Thing. But don't worry, that movie verse book will be coming shortly. Another one, this actually isn't a horror book, and it's technically in the thriller section, although I don't know if it's really a thriller at all. The way I would label this one, if it were a movie, it would be a drama. So I don't know where exactly that fits in, but it is These Silent Woods by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. It's about, those ones I feel like you knew, but this one is about, man, it's been a while since I've read this one. A man and his daughter, and they're staying in the woods, and they're kind of isolated away from everybody, and you don't really know what's going on at first, but it seems like they're hiding from something, and then slowly things are revealed to you. Although I feel like there might be some things in here that maybe aren't the most realistic or expected things that would happen, this book really broke me. I mean, I bawled reading this book. It is very touching and sad, and it's also an interesting read because there aren't really definitive good guys and bad guys. Like, you can kind of understand the story from everybody's perspective. I think it makes the characters feel a little bit more well developed, because I don't believe that they're just like, well, not that there aren't inherently good or bad people, but I do think that most people do have a mixture. So I felt like the characters were pretty realistic in that sense. And wow, what a heartbreaking story. So yeah, that's definitely one that you might want to pick up on if you want something to make you cry. Yeah, if you want to cry during the holidays, pick that one up. Another one that I really enjoyed was Sherry Lapina's An Unwanted Guest. Now, this is about, it's kind of like your typical thriller in the middle of winter. A bunch of guests go to stay in this hotel, and it's like a cabin kind of in the middle of the woods though, and a big storm comes and it blows out the power and they're not able to leave. However, the people in the hotel start dying off one by one, and so everyone's kind of suspicious of one another, and you don't really get to fully know the characters because you don't really know. It's a whodunit is what I'm trying to say. But it was really fun. It was a blast. I actually really enjoyed this one, and I would say if you enjoy whodunits, you might like this one quite a bit. Oh, sorry about that. Another one that I just kind of picked up and read, this might have been last year or the year before, was Andrew Schaefer's Secret Santa. This is about a woman who starts a new job at a new company right before Christmas time. They end up doing a Secret Santa, and she receives a gift that's kind of odd. And once she receives it, weird things start happening. And so she starts trying to figure out who gifted her the Secret Santa gift and what actually is going on. This one's more like a silly take on a Christmas movie. It's kind of like the movie Krampus in book form, although it's not the same storyline. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of silly. You kind of have to have like a suspension of disbelief and just kind of go into it and accept whatever is going to happen. But you don't find a lot of Christmas horror books, especially at places like Barnes & Noble. So just for the originality of this, I really enjoyed the read for this one. So if you want something more, you know, silly horror movie based, you might enjoy this one. The next one I have here is The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkauf. Really enjoyed this one. Another thriller here. It's about a woman who's writing a true crime book, and she's staying in this remote cabin while she's writing it. And so we go back and forth between what happened that she's writing about, like the true crime experience, this family getting murdered, and then to her in a cabin in the winter. And she ends up going outside and finding a young boy out in the snow just in front of her house. And so she's trying to figure out what happens. And so you have a bunch of different mysteries going on at the same time. Yeah, this one I thought was a blast. You guys know that it's not easy for thrillers to intrigue me, and this one really did. I was super invested in the story, and I really enjoyed that one. The next one, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised. The Terror by Dan Simmons. How often can I talk about this book? The answer is a bajillion times. I love this book. It's one of my favorite horror books ever written. Again, very snowy and perfect for this time of year. And also if you want something that will also, you know, ruin your week as well, because it is quite hard to get through. It's about the expeditions of 1845, where they go up to the Arctic. This really happened, where men went up in ships to the Arctic to try to find the Northwest Passage. But this is like a historical fiction on what happened. He takes liberties and he changes it and makes it a little bit supernatural as well. So you have a lot of different things going on in this book, but honestly the most devastating, the most heartbreaking, the most difficult to read is honestly just what these men had to go through. It's a wild book. Honestly wild. One of the best books ever written. Obviously filled with snow and frostbite and scurvy and all sorts of delicious stuff. So definitely worth a read in winter if you guys want something that's just a little hard to get through. The next one I have here is Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. This is more of a mystery book, and I will say the mystery aspect is very obvious. Like you know who did it in the first like 20, 30, 50 pages of the book. But I still enjoyed it despite that. It's also one of Darcy's more intense horror novels, and yeah, there were just some really cool things in here that I enjoyed. I like seeing her expand as a writer, and so I don't know if you're not a Darcy Coates fan how you would feel about this, just because I feel like it's very easy to figure out who done it. But if you are a fan of hers and you like her other work, it might be worth picking up just to kind of see where she is as a writer now. I feel like you see her progress, and I think that is so awesome. And so I do think that this is a well-written book. I think the horror elements are really cool. It's about a group of people that get stranded. They're on their way to a vacation in the woods, but they end up breaking down and get stranded in this remote cabin and getting killed off one by one, and you're trying to figure out who done it. Like I said, that part super easy and you figure it out really soon, but I do still think it's worth a read. Even knowing who did it, I still enjoyed this one. So I thought I'd recommend that one mainly for Darcy Coates lovers. And then another Darcy Coates one is obviously, I think it's right here, Voices in the Snow. I talk about this one so much. I just talked about this one in my last video, but this is another great Darcy Coates's kind of apocalyptic, the world's shutting down, winter is taking over, and monsters and all sorts of fun stuff. So highly recommend that one if you want more of like a romance with your horror. Of course, Misery by Stephen King. Man, this book is fantastic. It's about a woman who abducts an author. She's his biggest fan, especially if you've seen the movie. You might be like, oh yeah, I know what that's about, but the book is so much more brutal than the movie is. The movie is very tame in comparison, and you get a lot more backstory on the woman who abducts the author, and it's honestly just a fantastic book. Honestly, one of my favorite Stephen King books. So again, if you haven't had the time to pick that one up again, I do highly recommend that. And the next one I have here for you, the last, is Dean Koontz's Mr. Murder. This is my first Dean Koontz book ever, and I loved it. I thought it was so fun. It's about a man, you'll have to forgive me because it's been a long time since I've read it, but it's about a man who realizes there's another man who looks exactly like him, who's come to try to take over his family and kind of take his place. He's running away from this guy who's trying to kill him, who looks like him, but then also trying to figure out like what the hell is going on. It's such an interesting book, and I would say this is a mixture of kind of everything. A little bit of adventure, a little bit of action, a little bit of mystery and horror and all sorts of stuff. So if you are a fan of Dean Koontz, highly recommend this one. And if you haven't picked up any of his books, I would suggest this one for a first read because it really did surprise me how much I enjoyed that one. So I think that's where I'll leave that. Those are the winter books that are just kind of on the top of my head that I would like to recommend to you. And I think that's good. Maybe we'll pick out my next book that I'm gonna read. But anyways, let me know down below what your favorite winter horror reads are. You can involve Christmas in there as well. And I will see you in a little bit. Ronald Malfi did it again. This book was fantastic. He has such a great way of just destroying you with his books. Wow, this was great. I enjoyed every page of this one. So I just finished The Night Parade by Ronald Malfi, and now I have to figure out which book to read next. Now I have books that I want to read this month. So these are ones other than the extreme reading horror vlogs that we'll do, and we'll still do those. I think I'm probably gonna do one tomorrow, but I want a book to read between then. I have A Cozy Mystery, Gingerbread and Deadly Dread, but I kind of want to save this one until it gets a little cooler. I also have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, but this is a New Year's book, so I want to read it after Christmas. I also have Silence in the Shadows, the fourth to the Black Winter series, but I also don't want to read this one yet because it's the last in the series and I'm just not ready. I'm just not ready for all that. I don't know what to read now. Do we do Rock, Paper, Scissors maybe? This Alice Feeney book that I just picked up? Do I do The Paleontologist and read about ghost dinosaurs? Or we could do that new Nick Cutter book that I bought that I don't see anywhere. Oh, it is this one. It's The Deep. I also have this Pretty Girls one that I want to read. Oh, it's so hard. But I do want to keep with the theme of like winter, snow, that kind of stuff. I think I'm gonna take a chance and go with this. You know what? Yeah. I gotta do some like wintry reads. I'm gonna do this one. Okay, it's winter. I should read winter books. I'm gonna start Alice Feeney's Rock, Paper, Scissors. This is Scissors, multiple scissors. This is a thriller book. I just purchased this in my last, I don't know, one of these last videos. So I think the rest of the night I'm just gonna read. That's kind of all I plan on doing. So yeah, we'll go sit by the fire. I think maybe we'll make some hot chocolate. Ooh, that sounds wonderful. We'll sit by the fire and we'll read. I don't have a chair, a reading chair by my fireplace, which I really need to. So I'm just gonna have to drag a chair in front of the fire, but that's okay. It'll be still nice and cozy. So that's what I will do, and I will see you there. Be there. My fireplace. Oh, 1700 hours. And we'll start this guy. Okay. I got hot chocolate. I got my book. I'm gonna turn the fireplace on, and then we're gonna read until this battery dies together. And then I will see you tomorrow. I'm sorry, this isn't for you. Would you like to read with me though? Oh, there's a little puppy.